So welcome everyone. Let's wait a few moments so that more can come. Let's wait a few moments. So this is the number of the WhatsApp. You can send your questions, whatever you need, into this number. I will receive it directly here and can answer, so it's private. So let's start by making a little bit of silence, tuning in, resting our mind from the worldly subjects. So we're going to continue to speak about spiritual rebirth, because there's no point in speaking about anything else, more or less. Question en français, on va voir. We're going to continue to speak about the spiritual rebirth. Like I said, there's nothing else that it's worthwhile speaking about now, because humanity has been going through a path, through the different religions, spiritual philosophies, and experiencing life. And we have reached a point in this story of this creation, of this particular creation, where it is time to go home again. Many of you have been feeling this intensely, and the path home is through sacredness. But now, not as a concept, as a specific thing. So spiritual rebirth is the staircase to heaven. It is a sacred process. Well, there's some secrecy about it, of course, but it's a sacred process to become holy again, to become worthy, presentable into the eyes of God. And it is a process which prepares for spiritual ascension, which is another process. And it has come because things have reached a point where seekers on the majority of seekers are too far into, let's call it a distance from that divine nature which is inherent to all. So I've explained in the previous satsang, the satsang is there on Instagram and now on YouTube also. It was a little bit disastrous because it was the first one I've done in a long time. But it is there, you can check it out. There's a lot of information about spiritual rebirth. So it is a sacred process. You will find all the informations on the website, srimannarayana.org. You can check, it has a whole lot of videos that explain all the process of the spiritual rebirth. Then I've arranged it, made it prepared so that you have all the steps of the spiritual rebirth that you can follow online. You can do it in your own place, but understand it is a sacred process. Don't do anything else with it. It takes 77 days. So it is very intense with a lot of spiritual practices. A very big opportunity to understand a lot of things about yourself, that which is not sacred in you, that which needs to be removed. And the process is about removing all these things, making that body-mind complex a temple of God again. Because this has been missed, has been lost through the heavy burden of sins and offenses and so on. So, for who is the spiritual rebirth? For everyone, Those who are here, who have no idea of what I'm talking about, it's normal. Well, I'm going to be talking about this for a long time, or I will make silence, it depends, but supposedly I will be talking about this from different perspectives, different lengths, and answering questions of those who are going through the spiritual rebirth. So this will be the main subject for a while. And this month, this is the 1st of May, so 21st of May, supposedly, the spiritual ascension will be presented also. For now, just the spiritual rebirth is available. So for those who don't know, you can enter the website and check it out. You will be surprised for those who haven't listened or see the previous live. It will be clarifying. But there's many different aspects of the spiritual rebirth, because it is about preparing you for that spiritual ascension to go closer and closer to God, not just as an idea, but as a practical thing. And it is one process that has different meanings according to yourself and others, where they stand in this universe and what they have experienced and what point of life have they reached. So I made here some notes to follow. So first point. So like I said in the beginning, we are reaching a point in time where one moment in the creation is ending, another moment is beginning. And this is a very different moment, has nothing to do with the previous moments. So God is calling everyone back home. Like I've explained in the previous satsang, your free will has been used to make sins, offenses, and so on, to create a distance with God, a distance from your sacredness. And the level of sacredness that you entertain is far from your divine nature. And this has become an obstacle in many ways. So this spiritual life, spiritual rebirth, comes to give a hand to everyone without exception. You will use your free will also to embark on this journey and to go through this process of rebirth, rebirthing into God. So this is for those, independently of their difficulties, because everyone will find what they need in this spiritual rebirth process. Of course, you'll be challenged about your conceptions, about spirituality, about life as a whole, about the universe, of all these things. So there will be challenges for everyone, and those who are able to move beyond these challenges, they will be fit for this higher communion. So this is for those who want to follow the path of love. So in this moment, in this cycle of time that is ending, two roads are becoming more and more visible. The path of love, not much that visible, unless you're dreaming or something like that, or deluded in New Age noise. And the path of suffering, which is not also very visible for the majority, but for a minority is quite visible. So this is for those who want to walk the path of love. So the ones who want to walk the path of love, their main characteristic is they do not fear suffering. So they embrace intense suffering if needed for higher values, for divine love, and they are not afraid of it because either they know or they'll find out that the suffering which is involved is purging one's darkness. And once you purge your darkness, love is that which is left, which is whole. So in this opportunity, the spiritual rebirth opportunity is for everyone. It doesn't matter what you have done so far in your life, how many sins you have committed, how many bad things you have done, or how many good things you have done. Nothing this, well, it will make your experience different, for sure. It may make it, instead of blissful, very hard before getting to the blissful part. But it is an opportunity for everyone. So in spiritual rebirth, you're not being judged by your actions. You are being given an opportunity to redeem yourself before God. Of course, with so many ideas, many will not have that opportunity because they will not allow themselves to, either because they don't believe it, or probably that's essentially it. But still, opportunity is there. So from all around the world, people are experiencing this, that something is coming. Spiritual communities are waiting for something. And that something has arrived. And for those who feel it in their hearts, it's time to go home. It's time to go home. This last journey also brings a lot of surprises, but that is, let's keep it simple. So, for who is spiritual rebirth? So I said everyone. Now I'm going to detail specific. It is still everyone, but usually this everyone in the minds of people may cause confusion. So I'll speak about this everyone. So, for those who follow a beautiful family life with God's values, dedicating their lives to God. These are very rare souls. There are much more that say that this is what they do, but this is really very rare souls. And those who are able to do this, to be in a family life, in a beautiful family life, with real family values, divine values, dedicating their lives to God and taking care of their families and whatever their activities are, their duties, as an offering to God, as their contribution to this world, in the sense of even the children, is just your service to God by bringing other souls to this world as you focus on your spiritual path, on your God communion. So for these ones, of course, if there is experience, there is karma. There's karma, there must be sins also. So sins are there, and past life karma, past life sins, all this will be cleansed, wiped out if you reach repentance about all those sins, of course. But in a way, those who are dealing with this type of life, they will have a much more smoother process, more beautiful. Everything is beautiful, but more blissful. Let's call it blissful. But everything is beautiful because when you don't have merit and you still get an opportunity to rise towards God, that is beautiful. So, for those who dedicate themselves to the spiritual path and do not have, I didn't change this. I think I've changed this somewhere. The order is a little bit different. So I will check here because I like the order that I put previously. Yorick, I will answer your question. Je répondrai à ta question, but not now. Sorry if I haven't. So where was this? Okay. Not here. So for those seekers who are pure and who lead a sacred life, independently of circumstances, family life or not, but are closed and are dedicated into this sacred life, into God communion. For those pure souls, spiritual rebirth is also for you. And if there's still this life, and for these ones, I will not say much here because there are things that shouldn't be said, had to be lived, and this is for specific seekers. But I can say that there's many ahead still to live, and during the spiritual rebirth, all those doors will open. For the monks and nuns, the renouncers of the world, like I said, it's for everyone. So I made a list and I'm going through every situation so that it gets more or less explained. Because when you say it's, again, for everyone, not everyone understands this. What is everyone? Bom dia, Isaac. Good morning. So for the monks, nuns, renouncers of the world, it doesn't matter in which spiritual tradition you are on. It doesn't matter. Spiritual rebirth is also for you. Unless your spiritual tradition and your spiritual prejudice keeps you away from it. But that's on you, because the spiritual rebirth has its hand reached on everyone. So those who are renunciants, monks, nuns, renunciants at large that are dedicated spiritual rebirth, you will find your path towards God also through spiritual rebirth. These are the ones who have nothing to call their own. They have made a vow to make their lives in this way. In reality, no one has anything that they can call their own. They just think they do. So they have to make a vow to really get this into deeper levels of themselves. Okay. So for those who follow beautiful family life, I already said in the beginning, for those who dedicate themselves to the spiritual path with sins of this life and past lives to burn. So for those who are more or less in a normal life, what is called today a normal life, because it has nothing to do with other moments in creation, Each moment has its circumstances. So for those who are dedicating to the spiritual path, but they are having difficulties because their level of sacredness do not allow them to be free from sins on this life, to be in sinful behaviors, and still have sins from past lives. So the spiritual rebirth is also for you. All those sins can be clean, can be forgiven by God, erased from you if you reach deep repentance from those sins into this spiritual rebirth, this process of God communion. So it's 77 days. The first 40 days are intensely and are more directed into this part of sins and their consequences. I've mentioned previously, continue to mention. Next. For those who have many sins to burn, who are still divided between the spiritual path and worldly life, and who mixed everything together and call it spiritual path or not. So there are many seekers who are still divided. First, those who mixture everything and call it a spiritual life, which it isn't. It is a worldly life still if you are mixing things. And I could explain this, but it would take a long time because there would be a lot to say about it. But it is essentially the same. So those who are dividing into the spiritual path and worldly life, spiritual life, or those that mix everything. So there are many people who have difficulties in entering completely, fully the spiritual path, and others that mix it. There's not much of a difference. That's why I put them in the same category. It's just a matter of clarification. Because if you are mixing, you're still in the worldly life and struggling to go into the spiritual life, but not being able to do so because you're still into worldly matters, worldly subjects, worldly investments. So that makes your life, the time that you use, into worldliness. But I put it together like they were two separate things so that it brings understanding, that you can look at your life and see where it is going. It's also for those who feel that they have lost themselves through bad actions, sins, and who thought there were no more chance of recovering in this life, no chance to redeem themselves before God. So those who believe in God, those who know what sins are, what bad actions are, and those who have gone too far in that direction, who have sinned and sinned and sinned, and who understand that, or not, doesn't matter, that through conventional spiritual practices, they cannot move beyond in a steady pace. They are still trapped in the same cycles, so they just many times just give up because it's pointless. It has become too much, and it will continue too much as sins are piling and piling. Many of them not even knowing that they are in a sinful behavior. And this is what keeps them apart from God and creates more and more distance. So for those who have long suffered from demons or implants, who have begun to become aware of the presences of these demons and their sufferings. So like I've explained in the previous satsang, and I will go back to this many times, it is not the purpose. It's not about demons and implants, but still it plays a very big part of it. In the world as it is structured, different from the average person conceives the structure of the world, sins give rights to demons to access your bodies. So if this is the first time you're listening to this, that is as it is. And previous satsang, I've explained a little bit of this. And the spiritual rebirth explains everything in a comprehensive way, all about this. So there's a first series that before the process really starts, you can see everything about this. So there are many people that are aware of demonic presences that come in their practices, into their lives, disturbing, creating problems. But there's much more beyond this. There's the sins that give rights to them, and they start invading your subtle bodies, your physical body, and taking over that instrument and using it for themselves, masquerading as you, and you start thinking those negative thoughts are yours, those negative desires are yours, those actions are yours, and they are because you think they are. So you're using your free will because you think that those are your desires and wills. But this is many times about demonic presence in different ways, either in implants. Many people suffer about this tremendously with all this technology, demonic technology created to create suffering, to bring the sense of madness even. Many of you probably listening to this either now or later on will say, oh, but that is madness, that discourse. And it is. In a way it is. It should be, but it isn't. But it isn't. So many people suffer tremendously with this. They dedicate their lives just to survive to these electronic weapons, and they suffer a lot with it. Many cannot even stop at one place for a long time. They have to keep moving, and they try a lot of things that can make it less worst, but doesn't really solve it. So you will find a path, the reasons, the explanation, the understanding on this series of spiritual rebirth, and then the process. If you reach deep repentance according to everything that you have seen and understood, then you will be free from this this burden, this suffering, and also demons. Many people share their bodies with demons. Some know, a few know about this, the majority doesn't know. So I used an expression in the Spiritual Rebirth series that this is the biggest epidemic that the world is going through. Demon possession. The concept of demon possession is a little bit twisted from the movies and what people see with their physical eyes, because when demons are too clumsy or brute or not sophisticated, they just those things. And this is quite visible. The energy is very intense. It's undeniable, but it's rare. But it's quite detectable. But the majority of cases is not like that. In the old days, those who had sensitivity, they could perceive it. Now, even those ones, if you have sensitivity, clairvoyance, it doesn't mean you're going to see anything of this. Because these are powerful creatures, beings, who have a lifespan completely different from human life, much longer, much longer. Your life compared to it is the life of a chicken compared to a human. And the majority of times you cannot see it. You cannot feel it. There are some things there that are weird, but you take it as yours. Some, for example, intense negative thoughts that rise in your mind that goes against someone else or something that you wouldn't normally entertain in your mind. Think none of that. Still it appears and you have to fight it. Or those who are into spiritual practices, but for example, they sit to meditate and then all hell breaks loose. Your mind goes wild, anxiety rises like into unbearable proportions. You have to run, you have to stop all meditation because demons don't like meditation, and mantras also, they don't like it. But you take this as yours, as normal, because it starts coming very slowly, very slowly. Well, I will answer that question later, but if you can improve it, that will be better for me to answer it. 1004 1403 hertz. I'm not sure if that is what is written, but sorry if it isn't. So most people don't know about these presences. They live with it as parasites that through time, symbiosis takes place and your life goes into a very different direction from which you started, especially if you're a seeker of truth. Because a seeker of truth in this world is the only menace to the demonic power. Indirectly, because a seeker of truth is not worried about demons or thinking about them, is just thinking about God, tuning with God, aligning himself with God and purifying himself to increase his devotion. And this raises his vibration so high, and it affects the collective vibration. So, and this makes a very big difference. And this is very threatening for demon power. So spirituality is a field of war, sometimes more visible, sometimes more invisible. And it's different because it's difficult to perceive, because the majority of times they disguise themselves and appear to seekers as deities, angels, light beings, masters, and they are usually very smiling, very smiling. So if you take a moment, and for those who have studied the scriptures and all of that, you go back into the old days and you would see masters were serious, because they didn't for a lot of reasons, not because they were angry, but because there's many aspects into this master-disciple relationship, and immaturity from seekers. So this comes as a need. And now it's all about smiles and sweet words and all of this, very different as it was in the old days. And that has a reason. I'm not saying anything here. Those who want to reflect about it, reflect about it. Those who don't. But things present themselves in very different ways. So in this moment of time, if it comes with a big smile, then you should look with suspicion and investigate a little bit more, because a master is not a salesman. He is not selling anything. A salesman smiles when he doesn't want to smile and has a speech that it is about selling something. But that is a different subject, unimportant also for now. So these demonic presences that enter people's bodies unperceived, they do this life after life, and the majority doesn't even perceive it. But some do. So there are those who perceive it, who feel the presence, the movements, and all of this, but there's nothing that they can do about it. Exorcisms may help in a sense, but they don't solve all. And it's taking longer and longer because the world is getting further away from sacredness more and more. So this is about corruption of human soul. But the spiritual rebirth goes much beyond this, much more beyond this. So this is just a paragraph, and well, if you have them, it becomes a very main paragraph. But the question of demons and all of it, even though the series speaks a lot about these, the way that they act, work, and everything which is about it, it's not really about it. For those who have gone deep into their sins and became like demons. So this happens to a lot of people. They just go down that road and they continue to sin and crushing their divine nature into the process, becoming more bitter, more evil. Because as demons enter, this symbiosis starts happening. So the characteristics of the parasite go to the host. And people do become demon-like in different ways, because demons are different. They are all demons, but they are different, like people. Human beings are human beings, but there are many different types of human beings. So it is with demons. So for those who have gone that far on that road, if you can reach repentance, spiritual rebirth is also for you. So God has brought this, and He is not making a distinction. Human beings will make the distinction. Human beings will make the distinction if they are going to use the opportunity or not. Whatever reasons are there, it's irrelevant. What's relevant is this: either they will go through this spiritual rebirth or not. So nothing, absolutely nothing you may have done in ignorance can keep you away apart from God. But those who have been deeper into this demons and sins, and demons which are a consequence of sins and all of this, they will have a more bumpy ride, let's call it this way, in a very nice way, because the spiritual rebirth is very, very, very intense. So those who didn't go into this way, monks, renunciants, all those that I was speaking about previously, it will be more blissful in the experience itself. Others will be more bumpy or more intense, more dense, more difficult, but everybody is having an opportunity. It's not the amount of what you have done wrong that counts, is how much you can repent of all of that. You will have all the necessary help. So the series of videos before the process start, and you can do it. You can do that process, that 77 days process, wherever you are in this world. You can always also do it here in the ashram, like I've explained in the previous. There's no extra cost for this, just what you pay normally to stay here in the ashram. You will do it under my guidance. And if you don't have financial capabilities even for that, whatever you can give, will be taken. And if you have nothing to give, you will also be received. That will not be a problem. The only difference is that it will probably take a little bit more, because to accommodate all these things that the ashram has been accommodating, well, finances are not at their best, but as we are able, we will receive everyone that will be waiting. So that will not be a problem. The only problem that can happen in spiritual rebirth is yourself. So now let's move to the questions. Well, if you have this possibility, so the question is, I have a question. I would like to start the spiritual rebirth at the 21st of May. I have an apartment at a place where he lives, or would it be better to go in a place where I could be closer to nature, an environment far away from the city, in the mountain for the 77 days? Of course, that is preferable. Especially the 7 last days, they are in nature. I don't know how those who are not in nature will do this. Not sure. It hasn't appeared yet. If it does, then we'll see if it's possible or not. The rest doesn't depend so much on nature, but this 7 days, the purification, the reconsecration of the temple of the body, the physical body, this needs this contact with nature. But if you can the whole time be in nature, isolated, this is the best. Because in the city, there's more people, there's more concentration of demons also, because that's where they feed. So if you look for the fox, if you want to see the fox, look for the chicken. And demons ask help for other demons if they need it, so it can be more bumpy. So if you have this opportunity, Even if there are no demons. If it is normal Shanti, the closer to nature, the better. The more isolated, the better. If possible, alone. If you don't see anything disturbing like demonic presence and things like that, or else you may need some help. And even for those who are doing in whatever place in this world, I will be available to give assistance. There will come assistance from above, because this is something for the world. So God is there, angels are there, deities are there. There's a lot of light beings connected to this to work, to help you to go through it. I will be also here helping you to go through it. For example, this is a French question I'm answering. This was simple. I know a little bit of French. If I didn't, I would go to Google Translator, translate it, and try to give you the best feedback possible in your own language, if possible. So I will do my best to help those who are in need. So if you can go to a place in nature, it's good. And like someone asked previously, if it was better to do this in nature or in the ashram, if you can, that is even better. There was another question here. My clairvoyance started improving these last days, and recently I saw energetic parasites attached to my aura. Yes. In order to transmutate by feeling it, stagnant energies. Transmutate by feeling the stagnant energies through compassion. Well, good luck with that. Not to discourage you, but things have gone beyond that in a long time. So what you are seeing is just a layer, So it's like looking at the hairs of your arm and not seeing what is inside. Not saying that there's something inside, but usually there is. And if there's all these parasites already, this is a sign. So this doesn't go through compassion, doesn't go through any of this. There's a reason why it is there. And it is about sins and sinful life. This life, other past lives, doesn't matter. Sins give rights to different kinds of parasites. And usually when there's one, there's many. So this is just superficial. It's not to say that there really is other things like demons and things like that. But we need to look at it in the sense that probably, most likely, in some way. So parasites, energetic parasites, depending on what they are. Are they more organic in the sense of energy, or are they more technological? All this makes a difference. It's all handprint of demons, of course, but the levels of it, they differ, or maybe both. So understanding this is one of the things that, for example, with implants and demons, people have this difficulty on getting free from it. Firstly, because spiritual practices are very difficult. So you talk about compassion. Compassion is very beautiful. Everyone can have compassion. So that level of compassion is not much. This doesn't upset demons at all. But certain specific mantras, intensely practiced, fasting and other things like that, that is something else. So whatever you are doing, if demons are not getting upset, if you don't feel them attacking you in some way because of what you're doing nothing. And even with this strong process, depending on the complications existing, it's still very difficult. So these ideas about compassion and channeling the energies here and there, this is naive and doesn't make much of a difference. Still, these kinds of parasites that are observed in the energetic field are still more easy to cleanse. But that's not the bottom of it. That's not the root of it. The root of it is the way that the universe is structured, and that you are here as a speck of God, as a son of God, the way you prefer it, And the purpose is to return to God, towards God. And there's something which is in the opposite direction, apparently, which is demons. There I explain everything. It would be a very long explanation. And that means moving in a direction which is not exclusively towards God. You may be trying to pull it, and that still helps you. But it is moving in the opposite direction to God. And this is through disrespecting the divine laws, through sins that disrespect your divine nature. And this makes that your sacredness, the God-given protection against these parasites, beings, starts getting weakened, and they can come in and do whatever it is they want to do according to their own agenda. So, for example, in the spiritual community, many of those who are in the spiritual community, they don't see that they have demons. They don't have problems in the sense of, my mental health is going bad, or only if they are really trying very hard to meditate, to intensify their practices, they will, because demons don't like this. But if they are not doing this, they will not even feel anything bad, because they are instruments in demonic agendas. And their agenda is either to stop spiritual practices or twist them. So if you watch the last decades, meditation has gone bad for many people, for mainstream spirituality. No meditation is needed. You just have to. You just do this, and you just. Meditation is, those who are meditating are feeding their delusion, and so on, blah, 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 blah. And in traditions at large, this is happening. Spiritual practices, especially intense ones, are putting aside. And these dialogues serve demonic interests. And these gatherings with people, listening to these nice talks for those who are still attached to sense pleasures, and they can convince themselves that they are in the spiritual path, but still making a worldly life. But they are not seeing that in this interaction, there's demons working to go in different ways. So, with intense spiritual practices, this is more visible. And those who are an instrument, either by their example, by the position that they occupy in the spiritual community, either by being someone in a relevant place, or by giving courses, lectures, and all of this, or by having the potential for it, they will not feel this health problems, difficulties so much strong in their lives. Something will be there, identifiable, but that doesn't mean that they will see it as a problem. Or your food. And when your food, then these problems are here very intensely. Health problems, mental problems, weird, bad situations coming into your life, your health deteriorating, the stability of your world crumbling, many different things. And if you have potential to become a seeker of truth, if you have been able to approach a real master, you will be attacked, tormented because of that, because of the potential for, until you give up and you go back to normal, worldly and spiritual life, which is common these days. A lot of talking and very little of hard, intense spiritual work with spiritual values behind of it. Because talking is easy, walking around, going to this course, that encounter, this travel, that travel. This is very easy, and demons love all of this. So those who can see it, they will see that in these holy cities, that's where you can see the biggest a gathering of demons, because that's the most important battlefield for them. So we are almost finishing. Well, finished already, but just let's continue a little bit more. So if you have questions about this, some of you will say, what is he talking about? Like I said in the beginning, srimanarayana.org, there's the spiritual rebirth, there's the whole set of videos. I think there are 38 videos. I'm going to update them because I saw that something extras are needed for those who are away. Okay. Insect implants like beings. Yeah, there's probably more to it than that, for sure. In the videos, there's I think it is the third or the fourth video. To watch the videos in the website, you need to go in, and there's a first video just presenting it. From it, you will not understand much because it is very complex. The spiritual world, it's made simple, but it's not. So it focuses on an aspect of the presentation. Then through the videos, you will understand. You have to create an account to enter. You don't need to pay anything, just create an account, because this information is sensitive, and don't share it with people in a way without them going through, seeing the first video, making an account, and seeing one by one, because everything will be blocked, just the first will be open. Then you move, and then you move. When you finish one, the other opens up, and this is important. And chanting that mantra that appears in there also is interesting, that I chant in the beginning, or others. We can go to that in a different satsang. And you will see at the third or the fourth video, I'm not sure, there's a video which I've made, superficial, but still, there's a lot of examples of symptoms. Symptoms of the presence of technology and the presence of demons. And all these types of parasites, they are not the same. They are not the same. So the parasites, those kinds of things, they are like the dogs of the hunter. Has the dog, sends the dogs to their prey to do their thing. Maybe that's a good example, but it doesn't cover everything. It is draining energy, making you more accessible to them. So the more your vibration falls down, the more your energy falls down, the more they can enter. But behind this is sins. And there's a completely twisted idea about sins now in the spiritual path, that there's no such thing as sins. I already heard that there's no such thing as karmas. You just have to fix something in your DNA or something like that, if I understood correctly, because I didn't waste much time on it. But there's no karma, just have to fix that. So actions don't count. So you can do whatever you want, and then just fix that aspect, and voila, liberation, ascension. And that is utter nonsense. But it's not innocent. It's for these people that already have difficulties with spiritual practices, probably because the presence of demons and technology, implants, parasites that are draining their energy, influencing their minds, attacking their bodies, spiritual bodies and physical bodies, which is all spiritual. But they have the calling, so they need to continue, and this gives them a direction where they can go closer into demons and bringing more with others by their own example and not realizing it. So there's a lot of symptoms for different situations, but eventually you already know that there are these parasites there, and this is common to the majority of people. I think it's rare those who don't have something. Implants, everybody has, more or less, especially if you're in the spiritual path. And demons, are the ones who are behind technology. Some say it is other races and things like that. And if that is true, demons are still behind, like they are behind human beings also. It is the same. But that's a way of using that story in a simple way, just for an example, because that would be a very long conversation also and unimportant. Thing is, it is there. So that video has there. Check it out. Ideally, see everything. You will understand with clarity why these things happen, what's behind of it, how to deal with it also, and all you need to know. And you will see in that video, for example, certain symptoms that are observable. But like I said, depending on the asset, what kind of asset you are. So you're talking about clairvoyance. So probably you're someone active in the spirituality, in the spiritual community. So that makes you a potential instrument. So seeing that probably was something not intended. So either your clairvoyance appeared now, or those parasites became visible to you. But usually that is clouded so that you cannot see. So if you saw it, either it is your karma, your spiritual sanskars coming up, or a blessing from God for you to see it, so that you have a chance, because people don't fight it because they don't see it. So they don't have a chance. They just take it as normal. So, because you're not supposed to see it. So either it has come, this vision, now, or if you had it before and you're seeing this only now, there's some kind of a blessing involved. Carelessness concerning demons, that happens, but it's not that common. They work 24/7. They don't take pauses. So, like I was explaining, shrimanarayana.org, check the videos, educate yourself, share the spiritual rebirth with your spiritual community, with everyone. Well, everyone. It's complicated because if you're going to talk about these things, you're increasing tapasya, mediunity is increasing even more. Yes, that happens, but understand that if you are into that direction, and if these things are there, you will have to deal with this. Check the videos. There's not much to say about that. And if you need anything, I am available all the time through this number of WhatsApp, which is there. You can send your questions. In the website, there's an icon inside the series of the WhatsApp, which comes directly to me. No one else sees it. So, and I can help you and clarify things and explain whatever you need. But the best is for you to start with the videos, because that will give you a comprehensive vision. And you will see in your life the story of all of this present. So, increasing tapasya is very good. So, mediunity increasing even more. You must stay away from this. Don't let be enchanted by this mediunity. A yogi doesn't allow entities. If it is a spiritual being, if it is a master, let him manifest in front of me. A yogi doesn't give his body for any of this. So this New Age nonsense is New Age, and it is in the line of, if not created by demonic entities, because it is very suitable for their agenda. So if you want to increase spiritual practices, I'm not sure. Do you have, you're increasing, but have you done that before? Have you done intense practices? Have you stopped with it? Is it something that you do occasionally and then stop? Because this makes a difference. If this is the case, they can just go away into a moment and wait for you to finish that. They come back and bring down your vibration again. Even those parasites are there for that purpose, for many purposes. But if this is something that you have decided now, and you will not stop until you reach the final goal, you will see a lot of big resistances, and 99% of chances that you will give up or smooth that with as time goes by. You will not hold it, because these things will be working on you 24/7, and if you don't understand it, don't know it, you will not even see it. Shadow work practitioner. I don't know what's shadow work. I don't know what that is. Well, it's not promising from the word, but this probably is ignorance from my part. I don't know what it is. But if you want to explain better, then, renunciation over all desires in order to merge deeper with higher consciousness. Well, have you started now? Have you going it for some time? Because many try it, but they fail because they don't know what they are going up against. Once you know what you're up against, it's easier. But here, spiritual rebirth is there, and that is like wanting to go to the moon by foot or by a rocket ship. Integrate deeper, reject the layers of consciousness. Well, that's smelling, okay. Okay, not going into it. Check the videos. But if you're going to continue, do it with an ancient meditation technique. This putting the mind into these things, because I don't know what type of thing that is. But this mental movement, this is smelling some of the nonsense. An ancient technique that was tested through thousands of years, through thousands of seekers, countless ones. There's no mistake in that. But this is a different conversation. But continue with that urge. Check out the videos. I'm sure that if you are on that seriousness now, you will understand it. Okay? Not done by mental activity, by surrendering the mind. It's not the point of going into this, but if we reach that stage of going to that, but even so, a technique is not all. Even the ancient techniques, they don't do everything, because what really does it is something that works and something that wants it badly. So it is the urge of the seeker which boosts, gives life to the technique, and that technique brings that divine life to the seeker. Okay, so if anyone has any other questions, put it there now, or else we will end it for today. Probably next Wednesday I will do this again, same time, with continuing the spiritual rebirth according to the need of the questions, and exposing this, because this has just arrived in this world. It was not available. I understand that these words may seem a little bit pretentious or whatever. Well, that's on you. It is there. It is available. Like I said, prejudices will be the only thing that will stop you, not God, not divine blessing. So it was not available. It is now. So I'll be talking about this again and again. Spiritual ascension is still being prepared. It will be available when it's done. But the presentation about the process is going to be available 21st of this month. Okay, so for now, check the videos out and share as much as you can so that everybody may access it. Then, after seeing it, make your own choice. Okay.